Married at First Sight, season 14, and this is the reunion part 2. And I'm calling this video the Mean Wives Club. I mean, has there ever been a display of so many mean wives on one season at once? I know we always had somebody we didn't like, a mean husband, a mean wife, but I can't remember a time, and all the times I've been watching Married at First Sight, that we've had 3 mean wives. And that's what this video is going to be about. The 3 mean wives. Not only were they mean, but the problem is they're also so very unaware of just how mean and unappealing they are. They all really believe they are standing on high ground and that they are the ones that are the victims of everyone else. It was really, really sad to watch. And of all the 3, I'm going to tell you, this might surprise you, I think the meanest wife of all is Lindsay. I know you expected me to say Alyssa, but I'm going to call the meanest wife on the show Lindsay. The reason I'm going to say Lindsay's the meanest wife is because the way she tortures you. She's almost like a person that just stabs you 1,000 times and kind of just lets you bleed out. I know we think Alyssa was the meanest, but you know, Alyssa just basically slit Chris's throat. It was tough, it was brutal, but she did it real quick within day 1 or 2. But Lindsay, she killed Mark over an 8-week term. She basically had him held hostage and stabbed him a little bit every single day and just let him bleed out on this camera in front of us. That's why I call Lindsay the meanest wife, because the way in which she did it. No wonder Lindsay had to leave the whole state of Massachusetts and Boston. She had to get the hell out of town. Because when you do something like this, what do they say? You better get out of town. You better get out of town fast. And that's exactly what she did. She left the whole state of Massachusetts. And I won't be too surprised if Alyssa's not too far behind her leaving the whole state of Massachusetts, because I think Alyssa's going to find it tough to live in that state. One thing about Lindsay is, you know what? She hangs on to those apologies. I mean, you would have darn near had to torture her to get her apology out of her for Mark. She wasn't giving it up one bit. And one thing about Lindsay, she gonna test you. We saw how she tested Alyssa very early on. She's tested Jasmina. We know she tested Katina. She's gone up against Steve, and she went up against Olajuwon. But one thing Olajuwon let out the bag is that when they had that little blow up in the airport, he said, you know what, they had a one-on-one, and they let it all hang out. And let me tell you, I bet that was a bloodbath, because you talking about a one-on-one with Olajuwon, let it all hang out. I know it was a bloodbath. And that's probably why Lindsay came to respect Olajuwon, because I'm pretty sure Olajuwon said some stuff to Lindsay about what she's not going to say to him and what she's not going to do to him that put her all the way in her place. And Katina did it early on too. Katina told her butt off too, and she stopped messing with Katina. Mark's problem was that he tried to acquiesce to Lindsay early on. He actually tried to get along with her, and the more he tried to do that, the more she stabbed him and took advantage of him and overpowered him. She saw Mark as weak. When Lindsay said she spit on Mark accidentally, I said, how can it be an accident when you just told us you said you wanted to spit on him? So you want me to believe you told a person, I wish I could spit on you, and then you do spit on him, but you want me to think it's an accident? Girl, bye. You so unaware. But the one thing I would say in Lindsay's defense, I don't have too many things where I do defend her on, but I'm going to tell you this. Like I told you, Mark is a user. And Mark ran up against the wrong person. He has probably been out here for a long time using people. I'm going to tell you this because he is a nice guy. So he probably gets a lot of favors from people, but he doesn't return the favors. And that's what I mean by a user. He's a nice guy. He gets a lot of things from people, but he never returns the favor. Even Dr. Pepper had to call him out and say, I know there's some gratitude in there, but sometimes it doesn't land on the right person. That's telling you that even though Mark feels like a good person on the inside, he doesn't always express his gratitude and appreciation. I'm telling you, there's a using side of Mark that came up against Lindsay, and that really spurred on her meanness. Because I'm gonna tell you, this whole thing over this apartment or this flat of Mark's, Mark did Lindsay wrong on that. Mark said yes on decision day, like we know, for that money, because Mark didn't have no money. He had been out of work for a while. So he wanted that little extra money from production for this Married at First Sight. So he said yes on decision day. He didn't like Lindsay. He didn't love Lindsay. He didn't really want to work it out with Lindsay. Then he used Lindsay to help him fix up this apartment, told Lindsay to give up her apartment. And then after it was fixed up, he decided he wanted to now kick out Lindsay. Lindsay said, Hell to the no. You're not kicking me out. Lindsay sat up there and squatted in that apartment for 3 months. And you know what? I don't blame her. You're not going to make me give up my apartment and try to kick me out on the street. Absolutely not. We know that there's a tight housing market around here. People just can't go get no apartment in one day. So Mark used Lindsay, but he came up against the wrong person. And Lindsay said, I got rights too. And you just can't kick me up out of here. And I know Mark went and tried to figure out how he could kick her out. Talking about you can't just live here. And he learned the law because I'm a landlord too. And he realized that, you know what? Not only is she a tenant, she your wife. So you can't kick your wife out of marital home. So Mark came up against the wrong person. He came up with a person who knows how to fight back. But had Lindsay been a different person, Mark would have absolutely kicked that woman out. So I'm not going to say, like Lindsay, that I don't have no empathy for Mark, because I do have empathy for Mark. But I do recognize there's a part of Mark that is real comfortable using people. And he just came up against the wrong person. So Lindsay is the worst wife of all. And she was very, very mean to Mark. He did not deserve most of the stuff she dished down. But to say that he's completely innocent, absolutely not. I don't believe that either. Like I've been saying all season, and like Dr. Viviana first said, you guys got a lot of things in common. Like I told you, they the same person, Dr. Viviana, if you hear me. It's just that Lindsay is a much stronger, fiercer component than Mark. Mark is a baby compared to Lindsay, and he met his match in this season. Jasmina, the second member of the Mean Wives Club. I got 2 words for Jasmina. Be quiet. 3 words. Close your mouth. I got so tired of listening to Jasmina overtalk everybody the whole episode. She overtalks everybody. She always has to be the one talking. She always has to be the one right. I'm right back with Jasmina where I was on week 2 when I really started not liking her. I have come all the way back there with her. Jasmina, something wrong with Jasmina. She is just a mean girl, period. I know people want to say, oh, it's because she wasn't attracted to Michael. No, because Jasmina likes to come up on everyone. So it's not about Michael. I wish people would see this. It's not about Michael. You may see Jasmina being mean to Michael because she's not attracted. No, she's mean to a lot of people. She doesn't have any respect for the experts. She overtalks them. She overtalked Pastor Cal. She overtalked Dr. Viviana. She overtalked Dr. Pepper. She overtalked Michael, told Michael to be quiet. I'm not finished yet. She's mean. And to talk about being unaware, she's probably one of the most unaware people on this show as well. Another unaware woman on this show. Dr. Viviana says she's going to regret this. She's not going to regret it, Dr. Viviana, because to have regret, you got to become aware. And Jasmina has no awareness. And even if she ever came into awareness, she would absolutely never say she regretted it, because Jasmina does not like to be wrong. She likes to be right all the time. It is torturous being in a relationship with a person who can never admit anything they've done wrong. Jasmina has never admitted anything she's done wrong. She has pointed all 10 of her fingers this way. None of them ever came back this way. There's nothing Jasmina has talked about that she said she wished she would have done differently. Nothing. When she's talking all this stuff about she's bringing receipts, and Dr. Viviana says she's bringing receipts trying to prove she tried. No, Dr. Viviana, she's not bringing receipts to try to prove she tried. She's bringing receipts to try to prove she's right, because her goal is to make Michael look like the bad person, that he's the one that didn't do things right, and she wants to be right. So she's bringing receipts, as she calls them, to show that she's right. It has nothing to do with about trying to fight for this relationship. Jasmina is fighting for herself, and she's always been about herself. People keep saying Jasmina checked out on Michael. Let me tell you something. Michael checked out on Jasmina a long time ago. She's already admitted that Michael checked out the whole first month of the show. Michael didn't want Jasmina. You guys keep thinking Jasmina was the one rejecting Michael. Michael rejected Jasmina. He checked out after she did that whole thing about being called aggressive. That was like the 14-year-old calling CPS on you. I told you Jasmina's a 14-year-old. She can't drive. She can't do nothing. She's a 14-year-old. And let me tell you, when she called CPS on Michael as a 14-year-old, he checked out. Just like you would check out if a 14-year-old called CPS on you. And y'all know what CPS is, Child Protective Services. When Jasmina called Michael aggressive on that show, she essentially called Child Protective Services, because I'm quite sure Married at First Sight production had to get involved. But because you can't have no woman on a show talking about you was aggressive in the way you approached me and talked to me and not have some sort of intervention. So CPS came on set, tried to make sure Jasmina was okay. Michael sitting over in the corner being questioned by CPS. And you think CPS, you think after all that, Michael's supposed to put a move on Jasmina. He's supposed to become more assertive in his approach to Jasmina. Why? Isn't this the Me Too generation? Doesn't know me know? Isn't this a workplace? Aren't Michael and Jasmina being paid for this show? That means they're in a workplace environment. So you have a woman who's consistently told us on camera she's not attracted to you. You was aggressive. And you want him to still keep coming on to her? What? So he can catch a case, a sexual harassment case, and say he touched her in a kind of way she didn't want to be touched in? Absolutely not. If Michael is my son, if Michael is my brother, I'm telling him to stay far away from that. Stay far away from that. And this whole laptop thing. You know what? I do believe Jasmina. I'm gonna give her this point just like I gave Lindsay a point. I'm gonna give Jasmina a point on this. I do believe she called Michael and asked for that laptop. And I actually do believe that Michael said yes in the beginning. But then Michael sat home and started thinking about it. He said, why the heck would I give her my laptop? This girl hasn't done anything for me. She's not nice to me. Why would I do her a favor and give her my whole laptop? Because let me tell you, I wouldn't give nobody my laptop. That's like somebody asking for my phone. My laptop has so much personal information and data in it. I use my laptop all day long. Why would I give you my laptop? No, go buy you a new one. But you're a 14-year-old, so you don't know how to go out and do that. Do whatever you need to do to get a laptop, but I'm not letting you borrow my laptop. And I'm with Michael. I wouldn't have given her my laptop. Now, Michael didn't want to tell her the truth on why he didn't want to give her the laptop. But like I told you before, Michael doesn't feel safe saying stuff to Jasmina. I don't think he was comfortable expressing to her that, listen, I don't even trust you with my laptop. And so he came up with a reason that he forgot. He didn't forget. He just didn't want to give it to her. People can say whatever they want to say about Michael, but let me tell you something. If he were my son, my brother, anything, my nephew, anything, I would have told him to stay far away from her. This girl is dangerous. Just like Lindsay's mouth is dangerous, because one day Lindsay's going to come up against the wrong person. She's going to pop off, and someone is not going to have self-discipline and self-control, and they may enact some physical violence on Lindsay. Her mouth is just that bad. It's just that provoking. Just like those experts said, she cuts to the white meat, to the bone, and everybody's not going to know how to hold their temper and control themselves. And one day Lindsay's going to come up against the wrong person, and that's sad. The same thing with Jasmina. One day she's going to come up against the wrong person with all this meanness, and somebody might snap on her. These two, Lindsay, Jasmina, and Alyssa, they need to really get a hold of what they're doing out here in the world, because one day it's going to really work against them. On to Alyssa. She was the original Mean Wives Club. We might even say she started the club. But let me tell you, Lindsay overtook her. And can you guys imagine if Alyssa had stayed on the show and we would have had to watch 10 weeks of 3 mean wives all at once? We would all be in therapy. We would all be trauma bonding, because we would have been in therapy over these 3 women. Because let me tell you, they're horrendous to watch on the screen. Alyssa's biggest problem is that Alyssa blew up her lie. She really should have done a Ryan like last year and just said her attraction was not physical with Chris, and that was it. Kept it there. But what she did, what made her really a horrible person and not a nice person, is she started talking about Chris's personal characteristics, his character and other characteristics. And she really shouldn't have done that. That's really what made her a bad person. If she had just stuck with the physical, people would have understood. We've seen people on this show that didn't like someone physically. You know what? We get over it. We could have handled it. But what we didn't like about Alyssa was she started to bring out a bunch of other stuff. She blew up her lie way too much. Like I said, people who lie, then they come in with other lies to cover up the original lie. The lie that Alyssa started about that they don't have moral values and all this other kind of stuff, she shouldn't have done that. She should have stuck with, I don't like him physically, I'm not attracted to him. That's where she should have stayed. But as soon as you start calling out Alyssa on stuff like Dr. Viviana broke off the receipts with her on her application, she starts crying. That's her defense mechanism. She likes to cry to get you off of her. As soon as the heat gets turned up on her and you start coming for her next, she wants to cry and back out of it and say she's bullied and you putting pressure on her. Girl, bye. She should have pulled a Haley. Just like Haley wasn't attracted to that man last season or whatever else, she should have done that. But she went way too far. And now we see they're trying to hook her up with Ryan from Texas. That ain't going to work, because I'm going to tell you something. Ryan is not going to respect what Alyssa did, because Ryan never bashed Brett. He never bashed her. He stuck to his guns and said it's a physical attraction thing. Other than that, Brett is a nice person. She has wonderful qualities about her. He never bashed her. He's not going to respect the tactic that Alyssa used when Alyssa went to the throat. No man wants to be in the firing range of Alyssa because they're going to see what Alyssa did and they're going to say, why would I want to be a victim of her? They might try to hook her up with Ryan all he wants just because he's from Texas. That ain't going to work. Alyssa going to need to move far away from Boston. She going to maybe need to move Kentucky or somewhere else where people don't watch no TV. She can go off and be some type of Southern belle, and she can smile for the camera, put her makeup on, dress up, and go to really nice fancy affairs, and lurking behind the scenes of all that makeup and lipstick is a mean old woman, because that's what she gonna turn into, a mean old woman. Chris, they say she gonna go and hook up with Olivia from a past season. Remember Olivia? She was a nurse. You know what? They might actually get along because from what I remember about Olivia, she was kind of dry. And be honest with you, Olivia was a little bit mean. I'm not gonna get into it. I thought Olivia was a little bit mean. I really did. So I'm not quite sure how she and Chris might get along. They might get along because they're both kind of straightforward people and they're both critical people. Because everybody said that Chris can be critical people. So you might like everything else about Chris, but they said he could be critical. And I remember Olivia, she was a little bit critical too. So it'll be interesting to see that if two people have such high standards, maybe they will get along. But I want everybody to find their match. So I hope they match up well. But Ryan and Alyssa, I don't see that happening because Ryan was not a mean person. Anyway, that's it, y'all. I guess they're going to have another episode. I'll see if I like it enough to do another review. But that's it for today. Talk to you later. Bye.